All right, so I ain't even gonna lie to you guys. We've just been taking straight losses here on this engine, but I think we're gonna be able to button some more of it up. So I did pocket the adapter plate, so we're gonna go ahead and throw our adapter plate rear cam seal on, and then it's been pouring here. Now my garage doesn't normally flood. We have a tent over the quad cab because I was able to put primer on it, and then I was able to get one coat of paint on tonight. But to keep the rain off of it, we had a tent. Well, the tent keeps collecting water, so I'm having to push it, i.e. it gets on here. So it was actually raining so bad today, I had to call a freight company to tell them not to come because my road was flooded. So we are unfortunately unable to put our pumps all the way in because the cam sensor pigtail is in the truck, which is covered in plastic wrap, which is then saran wrapped, and it's still raining. So can't do that. That's unfortunate. So what I was able to do last night in my frustration was I was able to bend a stock line to fit this pump. Now, I have a few more stock lines over there. We're going to at least make one more. So you have a spare. And then I measured here. We ordered a 20-inch line from Fleece Performance Engineering, and we're going to go here. Now, originally I thought this line here, which I did bend, and then this line here, but it kind of makes them cross, and I don't like that. So we do have a backup if all goes south. This line right here, I bent to fit that bottom pump to the rail. And then we have, that was a botched attempt. This one actually has a purpose. And then we have one stock line here. We have another stock line here. And then this one was a failed attempt. And then we have a couple of straight rails. So at the end of the day, we have enough here. And what's nice about this line here is it literally gets bent up, goes straight, and here. So this is actually in parallel with each other. So that should be a relatively easy line to bend. What we can do is put our top pump in for real. I did order our fitting for this pump. It is a banjo that I'm hoping will fit. So we'll have a banjo in this guy here. Banjos are usually shorter than this AN line. However, I am terrified to put this pump all the way in and then realize that this has to be out to get the banjo fitting on. So we're kind of in a holding pattern on our pumps. So then we jumped over to the ECM. I have decided on the ECM bracket that we're going to mount it just like this. We're going to build a little bracket that goes across here, here, and goes up. This will give us 3 mounting locations, and we will utilize one of the motor mount bolts. And this bolt here should be plenty. If need be, we can utilize this one here to mount our ECM like this. I think this gives us our best chance of success here. And again, don't want to be cutting and grinding with the garage door shut. So what we're going to tackle instead is I need to go get a stock freeze plug, and we are going to put our tensioner pulley on here and remove this Keating billet freeze plug in lieu of Steve's. And then we're going to put our adapter plate on finally as well. We also figured out, I just decided to buy all new Dodge steering and sway bar end links, a new track bar, because our old track bar is shot. I tried to free it up, heated it up, nothing. Couldn't get anything to work. So we just put the kibosh on that. It's not even worth the time. We got both of this. We'll just do that. So I know it doesn't seem like we've done much, and that's because we haven't. We've straight just absolutely smoked ourselves. The other thing we discovered as well is this spacer's probably too much. So I called the company and I ordered a 1/2-inch variation and a 3/4. Either way, the studs that we have here, which are Chevy water pump studs, will work for it. So we don't have to worry about the studs, and we can move the manifold in. The other thing we discovered is that our wastegates are plenty clear of this turbocharger. So we'll probably just do like a 2-inch riser. My thought is weld the flange onto the pipe and then weld the pipe to this. It'll be a lot easier than trying to essentially weld the manifold upside down to get good penetration on the flange. So that is what we have working there. A lot of fun. Well, sometimes progress is slow. And if you guys watched, I did show you guys this. So because we couldn't put a billet freeze plug behind here, what I did was what I used to do. Used to call it like poor man's freeze plug, whatever you want to call it. You stuff JB Weld's steel stick and sandwich it against there. We also use Loctite. You guys saw me clean the surfaces, and we put this on. So assuming I got it in square, it can't push out anymore because there's JB Weld holding it. I'd let that set up for a day before you test that theory. And then we got our adapter plate on. And our flex plate, I decided to use the used flex plate and keep the new one. This one was not chewed up. We do use the friction washer in between the flex plate. And I've changed my theory. So I use a little red Loctite under here. And then I use ARP lube and I just torque the bolts. Red Loctite on the adapter plate. What else did you guys watch? That's pretty much it. Blue Loctite on this. we Loctite that. And then I just realized we used to grab our oil pressure in here, and the 2 turbo feeds that we have here are used, so we don't have any way to monitor oil pressure. So what I'm going to do is get a probably 8 O-ring Boss, which is what this port is, to a 1/8 inch MPT, and plug our oil pressure into here. I thought about grabbing it over yonder. However, the problem is the ECM's going here. And this is like an 05 style oil pressure sensor. The 07s go straight up. 06, 07, I believe, go straight up. And that will give us clearance, but we have no place to grab oil pressure. Same problem here with this port. So we already ran the wire over there anyway. What I decided to do is grab oil pressure over there again. You guys can see here, we put our oil temperature sensor into the pan. I gave you guys the update on the lines. So it's, I feel like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back today. We'll see how bad the rain is on the frame tomorrow. And then I still got to decide on the radiator. However, that will not limit us on first start. So I really am not focusing too much. And it's nice. Now we don't have to bag the engine anymore. We have a valve cover. This is not the full-time valve cover, temporary. But that is the rocker box unless we send it out to get polished. If I do, I will send Jim that gold one and he can polish that. Yeah, fun. The other thing I decided to is the next time I pop this fuel line off right here, I'm going to just take a flap wheel and probably grind some of this King Speed logo off just to give us a little bit more clearance there. I don't think the line will vibrate that far, but I would rather be sure than not sure. So tomorrow we'll probably grab this Armor, or maybe this is Beans, I don't remember, fuel distribution block. You guys can see kind of what we did before. This is a 10 O-ring Boss, and what you can do is just order an external O-ring Boss plug and then drill and tap it. But we got to get the fuel in and out. So looking at this was set up when we had our triple pumps. We have probably our 2 pump outs here. We have our inlet from the rail, inlet from the head, and I bet you I fed one of the pumps out this side. Or actually, no. I remember how we did it because this was way different because the fuel tank was up front. So we'll have our 1 pump feed, 2nd pump feed, and what I might do is swap this because I think that's a bigger port. So we might come in this side. I could also, I don't know, we'll kind of play it by ear. But this is designed to go right here, like so, and feed all of our fuel system right there. Again, ECM kind of in the way, kind of not in the way, but even if you put the ECM over here and you move this fuel block up here, that becomes very unachievable. However, the ECM will come up to about here, so we should have good shots. And the only return stuff, what we'll probably do is return to the tank, head, block, or head, rail. This will get capped, so we need to order a plug, which I think I have some. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll cap it. I'm not sure. And then I need to figure out what these are. I want to say these are 10 or 12. But either way, we'll figure this out. Honestly, I might deadhead it here and force it out the sides. I don't know. I'll play around with this. But anyway, that's what this is for that purpose right there. And this is how we'll get our fuel. Again, our pumps will return separately with 2 8ANs back to the tank. A 6AN will grab the rail and the head return. And ideally, with this Exergy 2600 bar, there ain't much coming out of the rail. It's mostly just the cylinder head, and we've had good luck with that. So, yep. Okay, so we woke up this morning ready to get it. All right. The sun's peeking out. Stuff's drying out outside. So I was able to get inside of the truck to get this harness. So this comes from Cody Baldwin out in North Carolina. It is just a cam extension harness. Very nice piece that Cody makes. Happy to support his business. And, you know, if you guys need wiring stuff, Cody Baldwin's probably your guy. So now that this is here, we can pull both of our pumps out and essentially plug this in. Or really, we only got to pull the bottom pump out. And I can actually put the bottom pump in for real. The top pump, I don't want to do it yet until we get this fitting, make sure that the fitting clears. Again, I just don't want to be sliding pumps in and out, hurting that gasket. And then we're going to get started on our ECM bracket today. So that is kind of the goal of this. So what I'm going to do is crank up the tunes, get to making our little piece here, and I will update you guys. I also got to swap our oil pressure sensor over to the correct style, so that way we can move forward with this. Okay, so we've been slowly working this morning. We got our fuel distribution block mounted. I have the routing pretty much figured out. So we have our fuel pressure gauge in here. This will be one pump feed, the other pump feed, and either this will be the inlet or this will be the inlet. I'm undetermined yet. We got our return from the rail here, return from the head here. The reason why we had to do that is because we also have to return this to the truck. So this port here will be for going back to the fuel cell. And then we have our two returns from the pump. I am waiting on the banjo for the top pump. That is supposed to be here tomorrow. And then we can make this line. However, now that we kind of know how this is all routing, we're going to shift our focus to the ECM bracket. So we weren't really wasting time. I did go ahead, tap all the holes, ran wire wheels through all these holes on this block as well to make sure. And then I had to go find all the AN line, which is always fun, but getting there slowly but surely. Okay, so we were making some headway on this ECM bracket. Used a couple of spacers back here, and we grabbed this motor mount bolt, which we'll have to replace with a longer bolt, and this M8 bolt that was already there. And I got this parallel to the oil pan rail, and then this guy will go right here, which this is parallel with an angle finder. And then I'm kind of curious to see how good it mounts just like that. The other thought I had is we take this cutoff piece I have right here, and we take this guy and just go up here and essentially like weld that together. And then what would happen is we would have 3 points of contact. So I'm not fully sold one way or the other yet. Actually, the more I think about it, this might be nicer because then the ECM's got a little more. But this is 1.5 inches, 1/8 inch. So I don't necessarily think it's that crazy. It doesn't add a ton of weight. And then we'll put the isolators under here to allow us to dampen the vibration. So it should essentially be kind of like stock, just rotated. And the nice part about all that is we have plenty of clearance on the oil pressure sensor. We have clearance on our CP3 pumps. We'll have clearance for the harness up top. I checked because this is basically where it is from the factory. We have clearance on the frame rail, power steering, all that stuff. So I think that's going to be our home. I'm going to drill the holes here, and my thought process is we will bolt it from the backside. And once we get it all bolted, we will put little circles there and essentially weld those. So we'll weld nuts on the backside of this plate that will stop it from moving. And we'll probably cut this one up here and then grind all of our corners. But that is essentially what we're doing. Not too hard. I've thought way too long about this in all reality, but I wanted to make sure it looked good, didn't look janky. You really won't be able to see much of it because the ECM is blocking most of that. But if the ECM does have to come off, it looks like it kind of has a purpose. So I'm not going to hate on it. I'm trying to envision anything that this would get in the way of. And I look, so our ECM's here. We'll have plenty of room on that fuel line. We'll be able to route that fuel line and that fuel line across the ECM over there, that line on the top. So I think we've thought of everything. So we let this old girl kind of cool off a little bit, and there she is. TIG welded. We got our holes in here. Looking at it, this one might be a little low, but either way, it'll be fine. And that corresponds with this ECM mount. I mean, like, I don't know. That's rocking the whole stand. I think it'll be fine. So then this will go in here. Oh, we didn't miss by that much. Maybe a little bit. So now I'm going to go ahead and bolt this on. Well, and there it is, folks, in our little paint booth here. I like this simplistic, clean, not too dramatic. And then this is what we did with our ECM. I just had these rubber isolators. Should kill the vibration. Got some M8 hardware, and that will allow us to bolt our ECM onto the side of our engine block, rotated 90 degrees, and should give us plenty of room for the harness, all that stuff. Full disclosure, I did put some of this engine together and take my pictures for thumbnails and articles or whatever. And then I stripped it back down. This is probably about how it's going to get installed in the truck. Tomorrow, our fittings are supposed to be here for the banjo. So if the banjo doesn't fit, what I decided is I got this M6 Street 90 and a 6 to 8. And what we'll do is we will ever so carefully drill this fitting out the best we can. And that does clear. So one way or the other, we figured out how to feed this pump. This pump down here, no big deal. Really, I actually could make that bottom fuel line. I was just hesitant to until I got the ECM on because I didn't know how the harness was going to lay. And again, this one fuel line, no big deal. We do have to throw our starter dipstick in as well, but we are very, very close. So I think we'll wrap this video up here. Just call this one odds and ends of the engine, and pick it back up tomorrow with a fresh video. We'll finish up the harness, finish up a couple fuel lines, and get this thing stabbed between the frame rails. I got the frame finish painted tonight, so it is drying. It'll cure by tomorrow, and we can tackle that. The only other thing that we have to do at some point is deal with our fire punk lowering brackets and our new steering components, but I don't think that's going to stop us there. The other thing I could probably work on, I'll just do it off camera, is our wastegate ports. Just got to weld the 2-inch pieces in here and get that closed up. Yeah, fun. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. This is that jump to the dual pump cover. I'm not going to say cost us a lot. It was just more time consuming. We still have to deal with the power steering pump, but I have the fitting from Tier 1 to make that happen. And again, Cody Baldwin gave us the harness extension. And so far, that's it. Bending some fuel lines is what it is. We had to bend them before when we ran the fleece dual pump kit, so it's not the end of the world. It's just one more step. And then we'll get this installed. I will not put this on until later. I'll be honest, the fuel lines are not going to get here for a couple of days. So once we get this in the frame rail, we'll get the transmission bolted up, but you guys will not hear it run in that video, unfortunately. Just way shipping is what it is. But we can get it in the frame rail and then get the truck pulled out the driveway, flip it around, backed in here, and then we can start working inside the garage again, take the saran wrap off. So that is my goal by the end of the weekend. Get basically this in the frame rails, truck back in here. We'll have to put some stuff away, obviously, but it'll be nice to have it back in the garage. And it'll be a little cramped, but All we'll have left basically is some turbo fab, some power steering stuff, some nitrous wiring. So it really shouldn't be too bad to work around. Give this one a big thumbs up, guys. Subscribe if you are not already. And as always, I will catch y'all on the next one.